Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here, and I had a great morning this morning. It was very interesting to me because I did a keynote presentation at my old company, and we're still good friends with the broker, Ralph, there. And what's very, very interesting is that there were people in that room that I remember when I got in the business. Like, I looked up to them. They were like rock stars to me, and it's just great to have a chance to give back to those people. I also saw Kevin Cochran from Enriched Academy, and we actually did a little event with Kevin probably a couple years ago, but they have a great new product. If you're a parent with kids, really consider getting this. It's at dragonbank.com. I'll put a link down below the video too. So it was a lot of fun to connect with people that I haven't seen in a while, met some new friends too. So let's get to today's list because it's a busy day. There's 21 properties in total on the two different real estate boards. And so we're going to start off with this one here on Woodward. Just before we do that, so we're looking at these properties in the same order. Just click the price button. It'll order them from low to high, because for some reason on the weekends, whenever we've got multi-day searches, it tends to show up basically in a random order. So Woodward 249, it is electric baseboard heat. There's no pictures on this one. There's also only one full bathroom in the whole house, so you're not talking main floor bathroom. You have to run upstairs even if you're in the basement. Bottom line with this one here, it sounds like it's had some renos done. The kitchen's been replaced. The electric baseboard we've talked about in past episodes, that you have to be really careful with electric baseboards, because if you just let them run the same as you would with gas, it can get very expensive. So you have to monitor them a little bit. But the price point under $250, there's nothing for sale basically with any kind of backyard or a basement. It's all condos, so they're going to do well. I have a feeling that they're going to attract an audience if they look decent, especially with, at least in the description, with an updated kitchen. So Mark Street is funny. We haven't seen the Bolton in a long time. We've seen a bunch of them listed in the last 30 days. 384.9, 1275 square feet, only one bathroom upstairs. Dark hardwood floors. That's the eat-in kitchen, which is actually directly across. So where the photographer's standing is basically right where the table is for this shot, and then it's open concept with the dining and family room. Like I said, only one bathroom on the second floor. It has hardwood on both floors. I don't think these guys will have any problem selling right now. Not a lot in that price range, and so there's a lot of buyers looking, very little supply, and you've got a nice looking home. Those are all the ingredients for success right there. This one on Pine Street was listed for a long time, and I think what happened was someone picked it up and then put a bit of work into it, and has now decided to resell it. You've got a pretty good sized backyard. It's 43 by 80, but the house is not huge, so you still have some good coverage there. There is no garage in this one. Crown moldings, good looking kitchen, and apparently the basement has a tenant. So for extra income, you could be looking at this one and saying, by the time you net out after the rental income, this house might end up costing you like it's a 280 or 300 home. So it could actually be a good value pick if providing everything is kosher with the basement, that it complies with the building code and fire code and all the different things you need for a basement apartment. Gleason is 424.9. It's less than 1,500 square feet. It's not a huge house. It has a finished basement, though. It's got those iron pickets. It's almost like you've got the iron pickets, but you still have the carpet on the stairs. So it's like sort of the value. It's still better than something without the pickets there. The flooring looks good, and they've taken good care of this one. The finished basement would be the only reason I'd expect this one to get up into this range. So we'll see what happens. There's one on Ferguson that's a semi that I think might just offer a little bit more. Sugden Terrace, I think what's going on, like Sugden, Asselton, Megson, all that little area, that North Star area, I think what's going on is people are now hitting the 1 year mark where the HST rebate and all the other stuff happens. So I think we're going to see a lot more in this area. The 1 year old neighborhoods tend to really start pumping the homes out, and that's just because of the guidelines and tax rules that are in place. It's a nice looking home. We've seen this model do very well recently. And then they have a builder finished basement too. So you're like 15 something on the first two floors, and then you've got your finished basement there. So they're going to have no problems at 434.9. This one on Ferguson is probably about the same size as the previous. Doesn't have a finished basement, but it's got a woodlot behind. I find the layout a little bit more functional on the previous one. This one is nice with the gas fireplace though. and a bit of pattern in the front, and then you've got a bit of pattern in the back with the, like I said, the forest. This would be high for this complex. It would certainly help if they had some kind of a finished basement to help them around this $435 price point. The other thing about that Ferguson one is there's an extra about $80 a month fee that you're paying for garbage and snow removal. So that can really impact carrying cost. If you figure it's about $50 for every $10,000 plus or minus on a mortgage. So you're figuring if you're spending $80 a month, that's like adding $15,000 onto a mortgage in terms of how much it costs you per month. These Holland Heights ones are nice. They're townhouses, but they're big. And this one has a finished basement as well. There's no photos here yet, but they really have a lot of size. They have a 9-foot ceiling, and so you don't always feel like you're in a townhouse. They generally have a nice feeling to them. But there are, so March 15th, whenever you see that date, it's an important date. Scott's spelled wrong. We've got no garage when there clearly is one in the picture. So we'll wait for a couple things to kind of get modified on the listing. I don't always blame the listing agent because sometimes it's the reception at the company that puts it in, and then it takes a few hours to prove. So Azleton is $474,900. You're about 2,300 square feet of living space, but it's very basic upgrades. I've always believed if you're going to splurge on appliances, don't buy the white ones, buy the stainless steel. That's what everybody wants. They're going to look at these ones, they're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to have to get rid of them anyways, and then it's basically the value on Craigslist, which is a few $100s. So anyway, 511 square feet in the basement, so you're talking maybe 1,800 on the main floor and upstairs. It's just plain and basic, and I think if someone's going to pay $475 for a house, they're going to start to look and say, okay, I get the size here, but I don't have a lot of finishes, and they can be tricky to sell if they're not, if they don't at least have some kind of upgrading, something to delight someone. So Lederman 515, it's a 1,600 square foot home. Everything looks nice in here. For this price, you're really expecting a little bit more. I'll give you an example. There's an 1,820 square foot home, so 200 square feet bigger, plus a finished basement that's listed at $519 that we're going to go over in today's list. We've got one that's over 2,000 square feet with a finished basement at $539. So I just don't think they've got the size really to go in that price range. So $519 even gets you something like this on Kennedy Circle. We're talking double car garage here, and you've got a park right across the road. I'll tell you one thing they should have changed was that blue carpet. I saw it and I went, oh, do they still even do that anymore? So the cost to put hardwood in is about $5 a square foot. Plus you're maybe $1 to $2 a square foot to install. So it's not hard to fix, and it's a big square room, but doing that before selling probably would make a big difference, because I know that there's buyers out there, and despite how easy hardwood is, we even see this with paint colors too. They just say, nope, not seeing it, sorry. So even the wall colors here are a little bit bold, so those are all changeable things. By the way, they get bonus points for having the Michael Jordan poster there too. I like this one. I don't think there's very many good properties at $519. Double garage across from a park. Really, you've got a good sized lot too. They didn't really show it very well in the pictures, but it's 36 by 100. Most of the matamies are like 36 by 88, so you're talking about an extra 10 to 12 feet in a backyard. That can make a big difference. That's probably a third of your backyard extra. Hepburn is $534,900. This is the one, 2,000 square feet plus a finished basement. There's no photos on this one. It says a 1+1 kitchen, so it's possible that you might have some kind of a basement in-law suite or possibly a rental component here. That's about all I've got for that one. Then we've got a couple big daddies. We got this one on Pineview at almost 1.5, and it's more than 5,000 square feet. But there are parts of this one that I could see somebody wanting to come in and update. And so at 1.5 for this, for what we see in the estates here, like it's 2 acres, I would expect something that maybe just has a little bit more updating. It is a very nice property though. It seems a little bit high to me. From going from 1.2 to 1.5, you probably lose 80 to 90% of your buyers. So there's a real slippery slope on the back end. By the time you get to this one at 3.75, there's very few buyers out there that can write the check. I think we did a study over the last 10 years in Milton, surrounding area in the country. There's been less than 10 properties that have sold over $2 million. So there's really, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these ones at $3 million are still hanging around 6 months from now, not because they're not good value, but because there's just not a huge audience for them. So this one here on Appleby, 18 acres. You've got some beautiful features inside here, and there's stories to this stuff. Like, this wood is reclaimed, it's elm, and so you really got to see this stuff in person. This part of Appleby is known for having some nice views too, so you'd really have to go check this one out. But in the meantime, there's a virtual tour there if you want to check out. That's really for something like that. People, generally when I show them on Daily Homes, people just kind of dig checking them out. It's just sort of like lifestyles of the rich and famous. 383 Main Street is the next one. It's in the Green Life building. And so this particular unit, I can't remember the size on it. The condo fees are $90. You go over to any other building with a similar size unit, you're $200-$300. So yes, the asking price is more than what you usually find for a 1+1, but you'll find it actually washes out in carrying costs. So if you're saving $200 a month in condo fees, remember that formula I told you, $50 for every $10,000. That means you could almost increase the price with this one by $30,000 to $40,000, and it would still cost the same amount out of your pocket. So it's actually a friend of mine, an agent who owns this one, and they chose nice upgrades, all the things that you'd expect in here. I think you get a good solid unit. It's a great location. You can walk to the farmer's market. Being on Main Street, you're not that far from the highway, and you've got a gym. You've got some good amenities in this building. It's a pretty quiet, low-key building. There's a lot of people close to retirement that live here. So you get a mix of the 50-plus crowd. You still have young people in here, and it's got a good demographic. So Dawson Crescent, they just loaded this picture actually as I've been talking. So Dawson Crescent is this little loop here just off of Bronte, and it's between Maine and Derry. And that pretty much represents where it is. You've got the train tracks right here. These homes are getting very close to needing some work. So whether it's the windows or the roof or the furnace and AC, you start getting to that 15, 16 year mark, and a lot of that stuff needs replacing at the same time. So if you talk about 370 on this one here, it has a finished basement. It's 13 whatever square feet. But does it make more sense to go to a 3 to 5 year old Mattamy house like the Bolton model that we profiled, which has a very similar layout, and then you're not dealing with any of that stuff, and yeah, it'll cost you $384, but at $15,000, I'm just thinking the price isn't that much different. But people go for these because they like the purchase price on them. So Ferguson, 1,500 square foot semi. It's called a Lynbrook model. 429, 15 plus a finished basement. A really nice version of this home sold for far more than 430. So the potential is certainly there to do pretty well. And having that finished basement space, I think this is a good range for a semi. And they should do well. I think they're going to sell without much problem. That part of Ferguson, you're close to the Catholic school. You're basically halfway between walking to Guardian Angels, walking to Hawthorne Village Public School, and it's a good neighborhood there. So Chutch Match is $439. It's an Emery model. It's 1,370 square feet, no finished basement. And I think we could say without a doubt, buying a 1,500 square foot semi with a finished basement, I could even stay in the cupboards on Ferguson and I could still get way better value. So for me, this one doesn't seem like it's priced in the right range. We have seen this model nice with a finished basement sell at $415, but $439, they're not even close. The nice thing is they're on the north part of Chutch Match. On the south part of Chutch Match, they're going to back onto the new plaza that's being built at Bronte and Louis St. Laurent, which is basically, we're talking about Sobeys is going to be there, TD Canada Trust. If you like Sobeys, there'll be one coming soon. Main Street South is $445. It's an acre in Campbellville. Mostly just land value is what it sounds like, and that's what it is. So whether or not you could do commercial or whether or not you do this to build your own home, Basically, what you're looking at building your own house, $445 on this one is the asking. You get an acre. You're anywhere from probably $150 to $200 a square foot to build. And so if you want a 2,000 square foot home, you could say, well, it's going to cost me roughly $400,000. So at $845, how does that compare to market value? So it's a quick calculation in your head to see how the land value compares. So Dolby is $519, and there's no pictures yet on this one, but it's 1820 square feet. It's a Poddington with a finished basement. Sounds like it's they've done a lot of upgrades in here, and we just had one at $509 that sold very, very quick, and at $519, guaranteed they're not going to have an issue. Martin Street is $799. And it is an absolutely beautiful house. It's right beside the entrance to Martin Street School. So I'm not sure if that's going to affect how people are going to feel about it, but they've got a nice size 70 by 132 property, tree-lined street. You can walk to the mill pond, all the trails around there too, waffle ceiling in the family room. I can't think of a better looking home that I've seen on this list probably this year. The wainscoting, all the different features they've got a tub sink here, pot lights. It's a nice open concept layout, and they've spent big bucks on doing this. So anyways, when your laundry room looks like that, this is one of the things we always talk about on Daily Homes. I could show you the picture of the laundry room, and immediately you'd know this home is being taken care of. You can see that in garages sometimes too. Beautiful house. So check the virtual tour for that one. That's a beautiful lot. I'm not sure how that's going. The angle you can't see is from the house out to Martin Street School right here. I assume evenings, weekends, you're not going to have any noise or issues there. So I really don't see that having a huge enjoyment effect, but you never know. Every buyer's different. And the last one is this one on Main Street East, which is $850. It's a live work. It's 1765 square feet, plus you've got 750 square feet of commercial space downstairs. Typically, the commercial space rents out at probably $20 to $30 a square foot. So what you can expect to get for that compared to what you're paying on a mortgage. They're not great investment properties. The financing can be different on a live work because the work part is subject to different lending criteria than the residential. So there's kind of hybrid programs that are out there where you're kind of getting more residential rates, but you need to satisfy some commercial criteria. So that's something you want to speak to a good mortgage specialist about. And we've got a handful that we really trust in that industry. So if you'd like a recommendation, let me know. There's nothing in it for me beyond just making sure you're in good hands. But that's kind of a niche product there, the Live Works. Most of the stuff on Holly is sold with the first digit being a 6. We've seen a few of the ones at Derry and Thompson sell for, sort of 760, 770. So there's really been nothing in this sort of 8 with the first digit being an 8 that's sold anywhere in the live work category, and they're all about the same size too. You can usually count on 1600 square feet upstairs minimum, plus another 700 to 800 square feet downstairs. So anyway, that is I'll tell you one last thing. I almost bought one of these, and the reason why is because I didn't feel there was enough parking there. It talks about the spots here, over 60 customer parking spots. Remember, you're sharing that with the surroundings, you're sharing that with the other owners in the buildings. So if you have more than 2 employees in your store, some of them are going to park in those customer spaces. So much better parking arrangements at Derry and Thompson. Anyway, that's the list for today. If you have any questions, give us a call. You can always book a tour of homes with us. You can meet me at Starbucks, and then you can come to the buyer class. And I think the next one is February 22nd. The new website, I know I keep talking about it. It's rolling out very, very soon. And what I'll do is I'll put a link to the new map search that we have, and it is incredible. You're going to love it, and have a great day.